My name is Maillard Howell. I own Dean CrossFit in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, nice. And you have a podcast as well?
Yes, I have a podcast under my personal brand, myself and JFK Beta. So that if you're listening right now, just type in at JFK Beta BETA. We have a podcast that we host called The Beta Way. It's a play on the better way.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to like beta testing, there's a play along that word there.
Yes.
But yeah, we have a podcast. Check it out on Stitcher, Spotify, and as well as Apple. Just look for The Beta Way, BETA WAY.
Beta Way. Nice. And so, what's the vision of the podcast? Like guys joke about the fact that there's almost as many people on this planet as there are podcasts. So,
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so no, I was just saying. So I'd love to hear the vision of the podcast before we get into
Yeah, man. The vision came about. The vision like started 3 years ago, man. And I know it's the market is super saturated now with all forms of virtual content post, as a result of COVID. If it wasn't saturated before, it's definitely crushing it now.
Yep.
But it's funny. I had met a number of clients say, "Dude, what you guys started 3 years ago, here it is, like you saw it,
Yes.
We were working on a library of, not that this didn't exist before we started working on it, but it's just within our circles, our immediate circles, we were kind of ahead of the curve where we started creating audio content
Mm-hmm.
in the form of the podcast. We were creating a library of movements,
Amazing.
and all under the framework of the Beta Way, which incorporated some form of CrossFit, but it was not solely. CrossFit doesn't cover the breadth and the span of what John and I do, and so we needed our own brand, and hence
Yes.
the Beta Way.
Yeah, that's good. I love hearing stories like that where, like, basically just summarizing what you said, based on your client's needs and your own passion, that puts you in a place where you're ahead of the curve with what the trend is.
Yeah, I think if you just follow, this is going to sound corny, man, but if you just follow, and it goes back to what I said initially, if you flow with your energy, if you follow your vibe and you explore what it is, it's gonna guide you. If you follow
Yes.
what it is that your, I want to use the word what your heart tells you, but the best term I can use is energy. Stop. You'll realize you'll realize how you're evolving, and
Yes.
you'll realize what you're outgrowing, and you're gonna realize what you lack in what you're doing,
Yes.
and as a result, what you need to start working on.
Right.
And CrossFit was an amazing foundation for myself. For John, in terms of the Beta Way brand, gymnastics was an amazing foundation for him, but there was something lacking in the gymnastics for him. There was something lacking in CrossFit for me, and
Yes.
that's how it was birthed.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. There's people that it's courageous for them to say no, and it's for some others it's something that's just hard to do. So I love the fact, kudos to you for saying no to stuff, because we get ourselves in trouble by just saying yes to everything that comes down the line, right?
Yeah, I have some. So I was listening to what you were saying before I hopped in here, and you were saying something about, 3 types of relationships in terms of mentorship you should have. One, somebody, ahead of you, somebody on par with you, and somebody that you're mentoring. And I tend to have a lot of people that I mentor.
Nice.
And snap, I just lost my train of thought as it related to what you were saying. Saying no. Saying no. Yeah. I tell them this a lot. I say no a lot. Don't be afraid to say no. Number one, don't discount your value. And as a result, when you do that, you'll find yourself saying no, more no's than yes.
Right.
Because if you have your value really low, then you'll say yes to everything and you'll burn yourself out over time. I've done it. I'm saying it because I've experienced it.
Yeah. So Yeah, so there's two things I want to run with there. One is just I don't think it's flighty or cliche to say like kind of follow your heart or follow your energy. I think that you're on point with that. Like as someone in the chat just said a minute ago, um, FitK Strom said needs to be in tune. Sorry, that means that you're in tune with your energy and you're a great listener. Being a great listener to ourselves
Yeah.
is so key, right? And that comes from being in that place of quiet or just taking that moment to just kind of tune in. I talk a lot about self-care, or like a phrase I've been using, soul crafting, for a second, right? Like to just be able to recognize how do we get in tune with ourselves to be able to know what that energy is and what to say no to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree in all of the above. I spend a lot of, those who know me well know that I do spend a lot of time by myself. So I have ample time. Sometimes I get lost in myself.
Yes.
That I have to, I'm actually working on not getting so lost. But yes, but the foundation of it is you need to sit with yourself at times. And that's what ultimately guides me. Me sitting with myself
Mhm.
is what marinates and stews the thoughts, and then gives me the vision, and then
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
then it's go time, you know.
Right, exactly. That can be a scary thing sometimes, though, right? Like, just being with yourself. Because I mean, there's times we get into our own head about, our success or our failures. And here, I'll give you an example of that. Like, I ran a PT business since 2002.
Hmm.
And I have this a journal. Like, I'm a big on journaling, write everything down. So there's one day where I had no clients and I'm sitting in a Starbucks and I'm just like in a funk. Like, this is terrible, I'm not making any money, nothing's going on. I'm kind of just writing stuff down, right? And say it was like October 8th. Can't remember what the date was, but then I flipped back to October 8th from like 2016,
Mm.
and my journal says like, this is great. I have no clients today. I have some time to just reflect and plan for the next year. I'm in a good space. And it's funny how I was at the same cadence of my year where I had no clients at that time. People canceled, people were getting their kids back to school, whatever. But my perspective was different,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that time of sitting, that time, that cumulative time of sitting, we call it time on attention in fitness,
Yes, yes.
that time on attention with yourself and your thoughts,
Love that. Yeah.
that's what's going to get you from A to B. And that's why your B was different from your A, even though it was the same day and the same, it was X amount of years forward.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. So how did you get into the CrossFit world, so to speak?
Oh man, I've had every gym membership in New York City. Um, over since what, 97, 98.
Okay.
I started at the Y all the way down Flatbush Avenue and used to box for a while. Then my mom would nag me about getting hit, so I stopped boxing. I would do spin. I got decent. I would get decent at stuff and then just float along.
Yes.
Um, and I tell a story a lot. I was driving through Park Slope one time, and these ladies were flipping this tire, not a small tire, a huge tire, flipping a tire on the sidewalk. And I drove all the way back around and I warned them in the down. I was like, yo, what are y'all doing? Where y'all going with this tire? Like, it was on the sidewalk. And this is before CrossFit was a thing, before the Reebok deal, all of the above.
Yes.
And they were like, we're doing CrossFit. I was like, oh, okay. And I left. And I got home. I'm a notorious Googler. All right. I Google and I read up on everything. And so I Googled CrossFit and realized, oh, this is a thing. And at the time, there were only two CrossFit gyms in Brooklyn. There were the one in South Brooklyn that I saw those ladies
Mhm.
at, and one in Williamsburg. And I ended up going to the one in Williamsburg. I took free intro class, and that was it. Like
Hooked. Yeah.
I knew, like, yo, this is it. The ability to measure. I'm big on data. Like, I like
Yes.
data. I like numbers. I like specifics. Um, the fact that it was so data based,
Yes.
I liked that. So I knew whether I was progressing. That's important for me in life. I need to know whether I'm progressing.
Yeah.
I can't just float. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can't do it. I know what works for me. Two, the fact that there was a system
Yes.
behind getting those numbers, you know, or working towards those numbers or working towards that data. The fact that, okay, well, this is what we're going to do today. And these are the 5 steps that we're going to do to get to this endpoint. I like
Yes.
that. I need
Yes.
that in my life. And so that's what hooked me with CrossFit, and I've never left. And it progressed to me being a client, to me opening my own facility.
Yeah.
And here we are, 7 years later, downtown Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's so many people, and even in the room here, that whether they're Pilates people or fitness people in general, and it's such a big step going from being a member to even working as an employee to owning your own thing. What made you decide to jump out of the boat and be an owner, a bricks and mortar owner of that?
Man, bro, I tend to bite off way more than I can chew. All right. I do that a lot. All right.
Some people call that ambition, but
Yeah, but it kind of contradicts the no thing a bit, saying
right.
no, but I'll bite off way more than I can chew. I don't know. I've thought about it in hindsight that, you know what, I could have, instead of opening my own brick and mortar, I could have quit my corporate gig and just entered. I could have remained training, got a job at a CrossFit facility in Brooklyn and
Mhm.
transitioned softly, I guess, if that's
Yes.
the right term.
Right.
But I think the basis of why I wanted to do my own thing was because I just got tired of people telling me what to do.
Mm.
Um, and that was the essence of me leaving corporate. I got tired of being told what to do. The higher up I got, I liked my industry offered me a lot of autonomy. So I was in the pharmaceutical industry,
Okay.
and no matter how high up you get in the sales division, it's essentially the same thing. I
Yes.
drive from one client to the other. So 90% of the time, 75% of the day, I'm in a car playing my music.
Yeah.
I'm by myself. I love being by myself.
Yes.
But the higher up you got, the more valuable you become to this organization, and the more deliverables and the more weight the deliverables
Yes.
hold. And so I was really good at what I did, but the constant, it went from, oh, you had a good week, it went from, you had a good month, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, you could,
Yeah.
following, what's the next month go, to where the window of time became way more aggressive. It was like you had a good week, and then suddenly they wanted to know next Monday. Well, okay, well, what's the next? We need
Yes.
the next win next Monday. It was like, yo, I just gave you a huge win on Friday,
Yeah. No, but that was Friday.
and yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of that, man. And I'd always been fitness. I've always done fitness on the side, not for any monetary gain. And decided, you know what, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and decided to marry the two,
Hmm.
entrepreneurship and my fitness and my background in sales and marketing. And
Yes.
here we are 7 years later.
That's amazing. That's, those are the pieces that people don't hear or see, right? Like you think, okay, I'm gonna be my own boss and that's it. But they don't think
Yeah.
about what skill set they have to transfer from somewhere else to be able to be successful
Man,
where they're at, right?
man, this is the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. Right? And people say, we live in an age where everything is digital.
Yes.
And oh yeah, I own a business. I run a bit. Oh, I have a business. I have a brand. I have a business. I have a brand. Everybody has a business. Everybody has a brand.
Yes.
And it's all virtual. You know.
Hmm.
Okay, that's cool. You have your bachelor's. No offense to anyone. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
you have your bachelor's or your master's in running a business. A brick and mortar, a turnkey, is
Yes.
PhD level. Okay, it's
Yes.
PhD
Yes.
level. You have to. How long does it take to do a PhD? I think what 10, what 5, 7, 10 years
Yes. After
sometimes.
post grad. Yes.
Yes, that's brick and mortar. Brick and mortar is your PhD. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no offense to anyone running any virtual businesses. Congratulations, you've made it phase 1, phase 2. But you know, if you're brave, that turnkey, and then add New York City, add any one of the major, you know, any one of the major cities, you know,
Yes.
you're talking about another level of hazing, you know. I use the word hazing, you know.
That's that's tough. Well, thanks for discouraging everyone from owning a building.
No, I'm not, and this
Uh,
is not me saying this to discourage anyone. This is just me saying, like, make sure you know what you're signing up for, because
See, but yeah, sorry to cut you off. I laugh at that because it's like I'm a parent, right? And there's a time when I was obsessed with like be a good dad books, how to be a good husband book, how to do this, how to do that, how to run a home, whatever. And my mom sat me down one day and said, there's only things that you are going to learn within the context of being a parent. No book's going to prepare you for it. No conversation can prepare you for it. And that's almost like what you're saying here is like you can
yeah,
get your PhD in whatever you want. You're
yeah,
still never going to be really, really ready for it until you're in the
yeah,
context.
yeah. This is baptism of fire. Like, I have an MBA. I mean, I could probably give you 2 or 3 takeaways that I learned in that year, 2 years of my MBA
Yeah.
that I apply now. Um, Man, if you want to open a business, I would suggest you finding a mentor and
Yes.
shadowing someone that's actually doing what you want to do,
Yes.
and then versus spending the money to go get an MBA. If you want to remain in a corporate lane
Hmm.
and you want to climb that corporate ladder, by all means, secure. You know, that should be your first go-to.
Yes.
But business, brick and mortar, running a business, online business, any of the above, yeah, you can take some niche courses, seminars, all of the above certifications, but I would not recommend investing wholeheartedly into an MBA, blindly into an MBA. I
Yeah. Yeah.
think you need hands-on mentorship and shadowing to open a business, to run a business.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's so funny, right? Because like that's the probably the most successful path to go, but that's the one that people don't put enough value on. They still want to
Yeah,
see what letters are after your name. But you're right, and
yeah. I
it's
mean, I don't know the exact details, even though but there are numbers out there. If you look at these guys, I think what the majority of these guys that are on these S&P, well, let's back up. The new generation, the last, 20,
yes.
20, 25 years.
Mhm.
The old guard prior to 20 years ago, yeah, you needed that MBA, and those letters
Right.
were important to run a business,
Hmm.
but we exist, in a world last, couple of decades where, man, Airbnb, all these guys don't have, they're fucking dropouts,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for the most part, and I use that word dropout like in awe,
Right? Yeah, with
and
respect.
yeah, with
Like,
total respect,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because here I have, like, I've invested all these resources into gaining some letters that do they help me, minimally,
Hmm.
to run my day to day.
Yeah, yeah. So then your biggest takeaway in owning a bricks and mortar space.
Biggest takeaway I would say is, like, find someone. It goes back to what you were saying at the top of the hour. Find someone that's ahead of you, a few
Mm,
steps ahead of you, and pay them. Pay
yeah,
them to work with them.
thank you.
And
Yes,
that will be a fraction of your MBA money, and way more valuable. Way more
that's
valuable.
that is
Pay
wisdom.
pay them to
Yes.
guide you on a 6, 9 month, whatever, however long course of study,
Hmm.
informal course of study.
Hmm.
Number one, and then two, I'm gonna run with what you said forever, like, because I've always thought, all right, I need a mentor ahead of me,
Hmm.
you know, but second, I think, is someone that you can lock, like you said, lock arms with, someone that's in the same lane, in the same, your peer,
Yes.
in the industry. Not even in the industry. I have a young
No, no,
lady
no.
who
Yeah, yeah.
I have a young lady who runs a super successful ice cream brand here in New York City, brick and mortar. And she
Hmm.
opened, she's from the islands as well, Trinidad. She has an MBA, comes from a consulting background, top of the line, quit just like me, opened an ice cream shop. Her ice cream is like in Whole Foods now, and
Yes.
she started 3 or 4 years after me. She came to me asking me for advice. And
Yes.
now I ask her for advice.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
so I think that's the relationship that went from, I don't know, borderline me mentoring her to like now we mentor each other. That
Yeah.
peer to peer, that
Lock
locking
arms.
arms. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think those are the two important that if you want to start a business. One, find a mentor above you, and two, find someone that's on the same level with you.
Yes. Nice. That's so good, man. Thank you. Can we talk Pilates for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Have you tried Pilates?
I've tried Pilates maybe 2 or 3 times at max. I've tried
Yeah.
Pilates less than 5 times. I've tried yoga less than 5 times.
Yeah.
I tried a hot yoga. I know they're two different things, but
Yeah.
we have a yoga class here, and it's just not conducive to my schedule, man.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
time, I grab out 45 minutes of here, I grab an hour here, I grab an hour here. You know, everything revolves around my clients. You know, my clients are my focus.
Yes.
And then my training comes right after them. And then everything else. I know, sadly, running the business. I don't know. Running the business should be
One.
neck and neck or one. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I gotta take care of my flock, take care of my tribe,
Of course.
and
Yeah.
and then I gotta keep my sanity, so I gotta work out. And then three, so no, I have never had the opportunity to try Pilates.
Yeah. Oh, good, man. I'm just kind of curious because, like, we're all movement, and the broader conversation is around movement and fitness, and even people talking about just wellness in general, right? Like we tie in the mental piece to that, and so there's a part of me is like, oh man, I got to get you in, and there's another part of me is like, he's moving, he's good.
Yeah.
No.
I'm a firm believer of do what works for you.
Yeah.
I have clients that are like, oh my God, I feel so bad. They've been with me 4 or 5 years, and then they're like, oh my God, I just got a Peloton and I feel so badly. I need to cancel my membership. I'm like, no, dude, crush it.
Yeah.
Run with that Peloton for another 4 or 5 years. As long as anything that it's improving your quality of life. Especially as we age. I'm not 24, 25 anymore. I'm 41. And I come in and I have a junior staff, and these guys are all 27, 28, and they're raging bulls, man. They're in here working. They you come in at noon, they're cranking. I go eat lunch, come back at 1:30, they're cranking still.
Yes.
My client comes at 2, they're cranking still. It's from noon, and they have that. They still, the testosterone is surging. The youth is on this. Youth is on their side.
Yes.
But as you age, you have to be a little more. You have to be smarter with your recovery. It's not that your body can't handle it. It's just the recovery time that I think is what the major variable is. You have to be more in tune with your rest. Yeah, your rest and your recovery. But yeah, I'm all for any form of movement. And that was actually the basis of the Beta Way, just movement.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, yeah. I changed my job title on my business card from like personal trainer to sport conditioning specialist to Pilates coach, and now I dropped all those. I just put movement specialist.
Yeah.
Right, because it is that movement, and then you layer in also just that mind body connection, right? So I feel you, man. It's definitely about movement. And in the Pilates world, or I guess in every other world too, there's a lot of hate that comes to the CrossFit world, right? When you see like videos and guys trying to get that last rep in with like no form left and all that stuff. What's your commentary on that when people are like CrossFit's dangerous? Full stop.
You know what? I've had look, everything's not for everybody, number one.
Yes.
Everything's not for everybody. I would love to be able to run miles and miles and miles. Like our latest podcast is with the guy that runs 25 miles at least a week. His range of mileage a week is 25 to like 40 miles a week. I would love to do that. All right.
Yes.
I can't. It's not for me.
Yeah.
All right. Everything's not for everyone. Secondly, there's good and bad in everything. All right. You walk into a pizza shop and it'd be the worst fucking pizza slice that you've had in your life. And then you walk into a pizza place and oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, because you experienced the shitty pizza, does that mean that all pizza is bad? No, it's not. You know,
Right.
so that's the analogy I use for CrossFit. You
Yeah.
know, and it's with anything. You can go to a Pilates studio and be like blown away, or you can go to a Pilates studio and be like, what the hell are they doing here?
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
and I choose my brand and my company and my team. We focus on quality of movement, right?
Amazing.
Quality of movement. I'm not concerned with what the guy down the street is doing in terms of how he teaches his business or how he runs his classes, et cetera, et cetera. I'm only concerned with mine,
Yes.
and what we bring to the table, and what and how we maintain the essence and the core of what pure CrossFit is. And it's not around. It does not revolve around shitty movement, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, if you see it out there and it gets highlighted a lot, the bad gets highlighted a lot, and that's a shame. But you know, I dare anyone, if you go look at my old social media handle, CrossFit Prospect Heights. If you look at our existing social media handle, Dean _ CrossFit, you'll see the demographic is mainly 35 to 50. You know,
Right. Yeah.
and these, again, it goes back to quality of life. And then there are also those raging bulls, like I told you. We have the 25-year-olds, and they all move with virtuosity, right?
Yeah.
They all move with as close to perfection movement as they can possibly do. Each individual can possibly do, and that's because we're sticklers for form over here. And you know, I can keep going on and on and on.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I hear you, man. I mean, I love how passionate you are about your brand when you're just talking matter-of-factly about your people, right? Like that's it. So there's a comment here. So CrossFit is not, this is my brother actually. CrossFit is not dangerous, but people get hurt all the time doing more than they should. You see it all the time with clients in general. And I think that speaks to what you were just saying a minute ago. It's like there's a quality movement within your space that you're mindful of, and then it's out there though.
Yeah, you have to be, you see, that goes back to being aware of your client base, knowing your demographic, knowing your clients individually. This is not a space where people walk in. Every one of my 200 and something clients, all my staff knows them by name. All of my 200 and something clients know my 12 staff members by name.
Yes.
I know what Leandra is capable of doing. I know what Maillard's capable of doing and not doing. I know what Kevin's capable of doing and not doing. So if the WOD calls for A, and I know that Maillard is not capable of doing A, then I will find a scaled down version of whatever A is, so that Maillard can still participate in the workout and still get a stimulus without running the risk of harm. All right. And that's what, and I think that's what's lost. You know, is the fact that you have to know your population. You have to know your population, and it determines. You know, I'm challenged every day, because I have a class of 12 people, and 3 or 4. There was a class last week. There were 8 people, and each of these people were so vastly different in capabilities, in abilities, in age, in size, in every possible variable. It was such a challenge. Yes. And this is me, what 7 years running my own business and doing this full time, and like 8.5 years doing it part time, 9 years, doing it part time, and I'm still challenged. And it's up to you as a trainer, whether it's a Pilates trainer, a running coach, a CrossFit trainer, whatever it is, to be able to still tailor a workout and get this desired stimulus and the desired result from each of these 8 different individuals. Otherwise you're doing a disservice to the industry.
Right. And that's being passionate about and being a student of teaching and coaching. That's one of the things I'm always preaching, is that takes a lot of work. You can't be a lazy teacher and do that. Like it's a cheap gift to make an exercise more difficult. You need to be able to regress exercises and progress them for people at the same time based on how they are. And the catchphrase in Pilates world is teach to the body in front of you. right?
Yeah.
Right. So we say that all the time in Pilates. So you're teaching to the body in front of you. And then that's, the layer of that too is that, John could show up today and be strong. And then he shows up next week and he had a really rough weekend and then he's not the same body as he was last week. So how do we keep our
Taylor.
eyes and ears open and tailor it to the body that's in front of us right now, right?
Correct.
So if that's happening, this is why this is the parallel conversation in many ways. Whether you're talking CrossFit or Pilates, you could sub in whatever fitness modality you want. It still comes down to the educator connecting with the student so that they can, get to that place that they need to with their goals, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's why this is why this industry is is a lot of giving. I didn't realize that when I started. It would be so much giving because you have to connect with so many varying levels of energy daily. I just ran 2 classes. That's 8 people in the first class, 12 in the second class. It's 20 people, different varying energies that I had to connect with.
Yeah.
And give a little more here, take a little more here, give a whole lot here, give not so much, all within 1 hour, and then repeat it,
Right.
It's a lot of giving. And if you're not willing to do those adjustments, you're just going to be going through the motions. You're just going to be going through the motions. And you're just, we exist in an industry where, a lot of people think being a fitness coach is just getting people to sweat.
Yes.
And that's not what we do, And I can bring my 10-year-old cousin here, and he can make you sweat, and not know what the fuck he's doing. All right. Anybody can make you sweat. All right.
Yep.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. So the flip side of that, it's clear that that's why we have to guard our energy on the off hours so that we are giving our best energy to our people. The flip side to that is who is your ideal client? The person who walks in the door and you're like, I don't care, I will train you for free because I just love X, Y, and Z about you.
Oh man, that's a hard question. It's a tough question. I don't know if I have an ideal client. I know the type of client that gravitates towards me. Tends to be, I guess I ran over my demographic, older generation, middle of the road generation. So I'm 41. I think anywhere between 40 and 60.
Yeah.
40 and 60 is my demographic that I attract. I'm not sure why, to be quite honest. 40 to 60, maybe there's something in my personality that attracts them, but I think if I would have verbalized one of the I guess tenets or things that I keep in my head is my parents are in Trinidad.
Okay.
Right? And if I could I would give a whole lot if I could work with my own parents on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yes.
And I'm unable to, right? So I think that's what's expressed here. I kind of train people. Don't realize it, but when I work with them, I'm working with my parents.
Yes.
And my parents are older than me, and I think subconsciously, that's why I attract older. I have a lot of clients who have tried other trainers and they didn't work, and here they are with me 3, 4, 5 years. They tend not to be the run of the mill. None of them are going to the CrossFit Games, including myself. Which is quality of life. Improving quality of life.
Man, I talked to you for 40 minutes now, and I can gather you have such a wisdom that you bring to this, man. Where I think that's what attracts people, right? Because they see that you're smart across the board with not just look how fit he is or look how many burpees he can do. People recognize that this is for quality movement for the long term. So yeah, that makes sense why people will be drawn to that. Here, I'm reading Mia's comments here. So you're intelligent and funny and somehow surly, which fits this generation, but you're able to teach people at their level and language. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, training for
Um,
health and longevity is where it's at. The next comment there. Yeah.
yeah, you
Yep.
got to be able to, like I said, connect.
Yes.
Meet people at their level, and not, not make them feel shitty.
Hmm.
Just be a human, man. Just be a decent human being. People think, oh, you're so socially conscious, and you're like just don't be a shitty fucking human. If you keep that at the forefront of your brain in
Yes.
everything you do,
Yeah.
that will guide you in how
Yes.
you run your business. That will guide you in how you interact with clients. That will guide you in how you interact with people above you, in line with you, and below you. Don't be a
Yeah.
shitty human.
Yeah.
And as a result, that all that socially, all the labels will come.
Yes.
I don't know, the wisdom, the socially conscious, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, man. It's like, well, that's yeah, you're just doing life the way that you think life should be done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you have a code and you live by that code,
Mhm.
I think that will, some things should come naturally if you just abide by that code.
Yeah.
Your code shouldn't fluctuate.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, when you it just really resonated with me when you were saying about like treating your like training your dad or training your parents and treating your clients like your parents. I've had the privilege of teaching my dad Pilates when he lived in this area before they moved away. And I can tell you, there's something about that moment when your dad is like, okay, what's the next exercise?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? When he defers his wisdom and years on this planet
yeah,
to
yeah.
his
To you.
son,
Hmm.
man, that is like, as just as a man, you feel like that is just a humbling moment, right? So when you can
Truly
convey,
humbling.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
and when you convey that, people pick that up, like when you're training your clients every day like that with that same care and nurture and desire to see them live with vitality, like that's the next level, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yes. So a guy wrote, I think I'm saying that wrong, is saying you're a great human. There you go.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't take compliments really well. I'm working on. Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
there
Let
you
me just,
go.
yeah, thank you.
One of the questions I always ask people is how do you pivot and how did you pivot with this quarantine when you had to go like lockdown, open up, outside, this, that, the other? Like how was
Oh
that pivot
man.
for you?
Uh, I don't do well with the whole virtual thing. Like I said, this is my first live, so it's not my forte. I'm old school. In person works for me. Um, I just lose, I lose, and then plus I'm very selfish with my time, and I feel like because I give so much, that when my time is my time, I don't want to share it, and
Right.
as a
Yeah.
result, I felt like quarantine was my time. To be quite honest, the first 3 or 4 months, I was glad to do absolutely nothing. I've been going so hard. I burnt myself to a frazzle. I'd
Mm,
lost like a seven, I lost a super, lost an important relationship. You know,
mm.
my personal life had been wrecked, and I just needed that shutdown. So
That space.
I did not take advantage of it. Everybody's like, oh, you should do Zoom, you should do this. No, I'm not doing no Zoom. I'm not doing. So I didn't pivot.
Yeah.
My junior staff did,
Didn't
and
pivot.
yeah,
This is
nah,
no.
my junior staff did,
Yeah.
and I respect, and I was I was grateful to them. My business partner did, Chris Sainsbury. He pivoted. He's really good at being super flexible on the go,
Mhm.
and
Just agile.
yeah, super agile. And I intentionally chose not to be agile at that point. Then the business, I guess, when the weather broke and we realized we could work outdoors, that's when I stepped up. We began running outdoor classes. I'm always, they know me, throw me on the schedule, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I'm always on the schedule. I'm out of the business partners, I'm the one that's always on the schedule. Um, and yeah, throw me on the schedule. I'll carry as much as I can. And so we pivoted from the junior staff doing Zoom classes to a bunch, some of us, including myself, doing the outdoor classes along with the Zoom. And then when the weather shifted to the cold here in New York City, we pivoted back to indoors under the COVID regulations, limited head count to slow bleed.
Yeah.
business wise. It's just very slow bleed, but you know, if we can just hold on till this coming spring,
Yes.
you know, I think we'll be fine, and I think we will be fine.
I think so too. And do you feel like part of it is just staying visible, like just showing people that you're still alive during this time for the most part, and just keeping your existing people moving?
Yeah, take care of who takes care of you, man. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, there were a number of people who never dropped their membership. You know, they were like a core. There was a core. I think we got down to like 45 people from like 280 people. You know, our
Yeah.
lowest was 45 during the lowest point in the quarantine, or the highest point in the quarantine. I don't know. And these were 45 people that were paying $200+ a month. They were believers in our brand, you know. And this is not to take away from anyone else that had to pull their memberships, etc., because it's hard. But
Yeah,
I'm
there's so many
saying,
things, yeah, in the background.
and
Yeah.
if you could do it, these were 45 people that were like, you know what, here's our money because we believe in what you do, and
Yes.
we're super grateful for what you have done in the past. And yeah, and so, you know, those people believe in us, so why should we not believe in ourselves? And we're
Right.
stubborn. We're stubborn as hell, man. We're four stubborn black men, man. So
Getting it
yeah,
done, man. I admire
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's it. Man, and well, I just really appreciate your time today. Like, I mean, I'm cheering for you. I'm, you know, in our few conversations that we had, just setting this up, just seeing all you're doing. Any black man trying to like hold their ground, bricks and mortar, as we said before, like it's laughable how hard it is. So I respect you for all that you're doing, man. Like you're doing great work.
Oh man, thank you, thank you. Yeah, if I can just take my own advice and and take care of me at times, you know, and say no, continue to say more no's, and meet my own energy where meet my own energy, you know.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I think those are, then hopefully this can be sustainable for me and I can keep giving, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep mentoring too, man, because I'm just like people need what you have. Like people need what I have. Like we need to, you know, at the same time, we say no to a lot of stuff, but with that, I think that's one of the things that we need to say yes to more. We need to look out for
Yeah.
that more because we'll never run out of that if we keep pouring ourselves into other people, you know?
Yeah. Correct, correct. I don't think I'll ever lose that,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. You're doing good, man. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it so much.
Oh man, thank you. I was humbled, honored.
All right, man. Take care. All right, signing
Take
off.
care.